He's coming to us. We have what Thanos wants, so that's what we'll use.
Hey, and welcome to 2D Talk. I'm Jayse, or at least I think I am. I can't actually get my head straight after seeing Avengers Infinity War. And you know what? I had to see it twice. I liked it that much within like 24 hours. I saw it in 4DX and then I saw it in IMAX. So let's be clear, if you've clicked on this is a spoiler heavy review, okay? So let's start. There's so much to cover here. It's actually unbelievable what happened. So much. Alright, so let's talk about the start of the movie. As I mentioned in my non-spoiler prep video, that started on the Asgardian refugee ship. And the movie started out dark, and it started with a distress call being voiced by Kenneth Branagh, the director of the first Thor movie as it happens. And obviously there was the devastation. The whole time my breath was completely held. Like, on the lead up to this movie and my knowledge of who and what Thanos is about, it had me on edge. Obviously that callback to the first Avengers movie where Tony says we have a Hulk, obviously Loki says that now. And in that short time period that the conversation was going on from the start of the movie until Hulk appeared, I actually was so invested in Thanos and the Black Order and the dread that they inspired that I completely forgot about the Hulk. I heard that some people are saying that the Hulk came in too early, but I think he came in exactly right time because it showed how powerful and vicious and calculated in his moves and disciplined in his moves that Thanos was. And if I wasn't scared before the two of them had that fight, I was definitely scared after, because he was so precision. It was dead, the knee to the face. It was really deadly stuff. And I gasped through the whole thing. Let me tell you this, in the movie there were kids, obviously always kids in the movie. That's fine because, you know, Marvel fans, they're younger and they're older, it doesn't matter. But I heard at least one kid in each screening that I went to, and they were audibly distressed by what he or she was encountering on screen, and I empathized with them because it was. And they were like, oh mum, and like, it's like, yeah, you know, she had to, the mother or whoever was with them had to calm them down because it was a lot to see, to the point where Hulk was so scared he didn't want to come back out. You're an Incredible Hulk and you get your ass handed to you and nearly die. That's it basically. So yeah, it was a bit full on. That was really full on for a start of a movie, which was really good. I really liked the quick punch, like, let's go, this is what it's about. Let's talk about the deaths first. You've got Heimdall. Now we're talking about the deaths, not the fadeaways. Fadeaways we'll talk about later, but we've got the deaths. Heimdall, poor Idris Elba. I mean, he wanted a much bigger role in the MCU, but it set the stage for what was to come. I mean, I feel bad for Idris Elba, of course. Now that Thor has the ability to create his own Bifrosts, there's even less of a chance that they'll be bringing him back. No disrespect to Heimdall, but the next death is a really big one, and that's Loki. In mere minutes of the movie, Loki is choked out by Thanos. It further perpetuated what the MCU was bringing home to us. And the acting from Hiddleston during his death scene was actually top notch. You could see that he wanted to do some kind of trickery to get out of the situation, but you knew that he couldn't. It was really powerful stuff. Gamora. Going into this movie, I had no idea that she would be one of the ones to die. And even though they teed it up moments before, when she was basically saying, you know, the universe has said no to you because you don't love anybody, and it was like, dude, it's you. I was having a discussion with my mates, and Gamora really hasn't done anything to prove that she's like the biggest, baddest woman in the galaxy. She had some stuff to do in the first Guardians movie, but that's about it. And yes, the slow-mo drag to the edge to throw her over was good, if not a little bit cliche. But I personally would have preferred if she actually put up a gritty, tough fight before losing, all the while telling him how much she hates him, while he says exactly the opposite, and then he throws her over. That would have given her a badass ending, and also still given Thanos the emotional depth, which was what that whole scene was about. The emotional depth of Thanos, again, building up this villain for more than just a two-dimensional character. And then finally you got Vision, who died twice, if you think about it. And I knew that Thanos was going to use the time stone to bring him back once Wanda had started to destroy. When she started destroying the stone, I knew that he was going to bring him back. It was still a really powerful sequence of events, and this furthers my belief that Wanda, having lost so much and reliving watching the Vision die twice, will be one of the ones to come back from that fade out with either renewed powers or just renewed loneliness, basically. So Wakanda, let's move on to Wakanda and Black Panther. Clearly, when they were filming this movie, this particular movie, they had no idea how massive Black Panther would be, as they don't get a huge amount of screen time. It's to be expected for a movie, obviously, again, so big. I'll say this a few times, for a movie so big, not everything gets due diligence, basically. You'd think this one might, because it was such a huge moneymaker. But again, it was utilized well. Basically, it was the staging ground for the war part of Infinity Infinity War. And I thought it was refreshing to see this happening in fields and the jungle rather than in another city setting like the first two movies. And as usual, Wakanda was beautiful and it showed off the technology that they had as well. It was really, really good. Now we move on to Nidavellir. For all the speculation of who Peter Dinklage was playing, he turned out to be an oversized dwarf called Eothir. He forged Mjolnir, he forged the Infinity Gauntlet and Stormbreaker, Thor's new hammer. And when I saw him on screen, I was like, ah, okay. And I thought to myself, yeah, I'm having a pretty hard time wondering why it was so secret, to be honest. But it was a good character. I really enjoyed it. He had a little funny line about Thor being dead and being killed. That was quite funny. But yes, so that was Peter Dinklage's character, was a oversized dwarf. Star-Lord and his mess up. I want to talk about Star-Lord because that's another thing that stood out to me. Is Star-Lord, he basically ruined his own plan to capture Thanos and retrieve the gauntlet when he found out Thanos had sacrificed Gamora for the Soul Stone. And it was super impulsive, yes, but did he mess up the plan really? As Doctor Strange had already gone through into the future and seen like 14,605 different possibilities that this outcome could come to, and in only one of them did they win. So he could have prevented what Star-Lord was doing, but he didn't. He let it run its course. So it had to happen in order for them to, for lack of a better word, be victorious as well, like including handing the time stone over to Thanos to save Tony. He clearly knew what he was doing, but I do agree it was frustrating. They were so close to grabbing the gauntlet, like so really nearly close. Talking about when they were pinning down Thanos, let's talk about the action in this movie. It was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. Really great stuff. I mean, coming from directing Arrested Development to working on some of the best action sequences since The Matrix, it was fun, it was exhilarating, it was fast paced, and the new gadgets from Iron Man, like the phaser cannons that came out of his back to blast away Cull Obsidian during the New York battle, that was so cool. Spider-Man's new Iron Spider suit was really, really great, especially the spider legs, which helped break his fall while he was saving Manta that time. I thought that was absolutely brilliant, and the use of them throughout the movie was really good. The moon throw, okay, so it wasn't an entire moon, it wasn't even half a moon, it was more particles, but it was enough for Tony to reference it to Thanos after he'd recovered from being hit by these massive, massive rocks and particles and rubble. So again, it was still really, really good. Thanos was so mad. Boom! There was just this massive column just thrown on him, and then he blew it apart, and you could see he was pissed. And it was a lot. It was really good. Oh, and when Star-Lord put that bomb on his back, and there was like boom with the fingers up. Thought that was brilliant as well. Moving on to the characters a little bit, every character had some great screen time in such a massive ensemble. The movie was huge, and for the directors, the Russo brothers, the writers, Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely, and also the executive producer, for them to bring this all together, it was truly more than I could have hoped for. Shining characters for me were like Spider-Man, Thor, Doctor Strange, Teen Groot and Wanda, Scarlet Witch. They were kind of my shining ones. But also I did love the reveal of the Red Skull as the keeper of the Soul Stone. That was brilliant. And the thought that he'd been there for decades was like, yeah, that's what you get for being a crazy Nazi scientist. That's basically what you get. And the actor who played him wasn't in fact Hugo Weaving. Hugo Weaving had already said all those years ago that he'd never do it again because he hated his experience working with the MCU and he just didn't like the fact that he had to be Red Skull. In fact, it was the master impressionist called Ross Marquand, and he's from The Walking Dead. I'll have a picture up of him here, and he did a fantastic job. As soon as I saw the Red Skull though, I did elbow my mate and I was like, oh my god, it's the Red Skull. So that was pretty cool. As for the Black Order, I was really, really impressed with Ebony Maw. I thought he was absolutely fantastic. The rest of them, Cull Obsidian, Proxima Midnight, and also Corvus Glaive, they were all a little bit lackluster to be fair, and it actually wasn't ever, it was only once that one of the characters were actually named, and that was Ebony Maw, obviously, wasn't it, by Thanos. Proxima Midnight had that good fight with Black Widow and Okoye, and also before that with Scarlet Witch and herself in Scotland, which I thought was good. But yeah, I was quite let down by who they were, to be fair. But really, that was it. And obviously there were a bunch of characters that were not used or underused and really only had cameos like Wong and Shuri and Pepper. I was a bit upset that Shuri didn't get as much time as I thought she would do. But again, massive movie. Talking about people from underused to cameos, what about where the hell was Hawkeye and Ant-Man? Honestly, I couldn't believe that he didn't show up. Though in fairness, it wasn't until the credits started to roll that I was like, oh yeah, he wasn't in it. And that's more of a credit to the film's immersion than it is a negative thought about Hawkeye as a character. I was like, dude, I guess you'll be showing up with Captain Marvel to help her out with helping, you know, saving the Avengers. Fair enough. Okay, fair enough. And moving on to Thanos. Thanos' story and Josh Brolin's portrayal was amazing. Absolutely amazing. When Kevin Feige in the MCU promised a villain-driven movie, they were not lying. I can't believe it. The depth of this character compared to like Malekith from The Dark World or the Mandarin from Iron Man 3, it was outstanding. This antagonist, in my opinion, was truly terrifying. So unpredictable. And every time he wasn't on screen, I was like, yeah, when are you gonna turn up and just like devastate everyone? Here, you really looked at him like a key player rather than just, you know, the usual plot of it's the hero's journey that's more important. Traditionally, villains aren't about depth, especially in the MCU, but this really worked. After talking about something heavy like Thanos and how scary he is, let's go on to the laughs. Now, before I went into the movie, I heard that this had Marvel's trademark laughs, and it made me a little cautious going into it because I wanted something different from this movie. Not to say that I haven't appreciated the levity of the other movies, but this was an event movie I was about to see, and it demanded something different. And my fears were completely unfounded, as you know, because the comedy that they did insert was placed really well, and it did nothing to distract from the heavy feeling of the movie as a whole. Some of my favourite lines and some of my favourite sequences were like when the Guardians were discussing Thor when he was on the table. That was really good. Star-Lord calling Thanos' chin a nutsack. Yep. Absolute gold. Banner trying to like coax out the Hulk in New York, and Tony was like, "You're embarrassing me in front of the wizards." That was really good. Drax trying to be invisible, that whole invisible thing he was trying to do while eating pork scratchings, that was seriously funny. And the magic kick from Spider-Man when he was using Doctor Strange's portals to attack Thanos, it was like magic, more magic, magic kick, magic. That was really funny. That was really funny stuff. So from hilarity and fun to that ending, that gut punch ending. Mate, when the characters started turning to dust, my mouth was so wide open in a gasp that a London bus could fit through. First you got Bucky, then you had Star-Lord, Scarlet Witch, Doctor Strange, the list goes on, Falcon, Groot. So many of them just vanished. And both times I watched the movie, I felt myself tearing up with Holland's performance, as basically he's a terrified kid who woke up that morning to go on a field trip and ended up being on another planet, fading away. Not dying, but fading out of existence. It was a really hard hit. And Robert Downey Jr.'s reaction to feeling responsible about what's happening to his ward, it was so well done. Absolutely so well done. The only thing I will say is that Black Panther fading away only reinforced yet again the fact that they didn't know what they had in Black Panther at the time, and it made me go, okay, so the fade away is definitely not permanent, at least for Black Panther. Spider-Man, I know Spider-Man Homecoming is coming next year as well, but also Tom Holland's performance really sold that this could be permanent, so I really like that. And then moving on to the post-credit scene. Thought it was brilliant. Again, it emphasized the repercussions of what Thanos had done across the world. You had crashing cars, aircrafts falling out of the sky, and you see Hill and Fury not knowing what's happened. They have no idea. And as soon as that pager came up with Captain Marvel's symbol, I thought, Nick, you've been holding on to Captain Marvel for this long. Like, where was she during the first and second Avengers movies? But then I thought, clearly she's one of your big gun ace in the hole, so she'll turn up and save the day, as I said. Samuel L. Jackson's trademark mother line before fading away was also really good, so I was really happy he got to do that. Again, PG-13, but you can still just about say it, so that was really cool. So, when I came out of this movie for the first time, I turned to my friends and I said, wow, that was a miserable movie, but in a good way. I feel like the MCU had to go in this direction, because over the last 10 years, they've shown us what it is to be a hero, how the good guys were key to making this franchise work. They had fans on a leash for a decade, making us fall in love with certain characters, and then they took us to Civil War, where we had to choose sides to further reinforce our devotion to particular characters, all the while going with the fun and bright ride. And then, boom, and I mean boom, the darkness this movie is surrounded by, ironically, is refreshing and eye-opening. In conclusion, Infinity War is everything I expected and also nothing I expected. It gave me everything I thought I wanted and then everything I didn't know I wanted. And I have to give it 5 ash heaps out of 5. Yep, I went with ash heaps because that was really sad. Guys, what did you think about the movie? Please comment below, let me know. Please like, share, and of course subscribe. Don't forget to comment on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest. So you guys take care of yourself. See you later. Bye bye.